Hey, friends, and welcome to the Soul Fire Sessions at the intersection of passion and purpose, where you align with what sets your soul on fire. We're your hosts, Alex and Mariah, and we are really grateful that you've joined us today. We are all about reclaiming clarity, rebuilding confidence, and designing a future that actually fits you. So take a breath, feel the spark, and let's step into the fire. Hey, Mariah.
Hey, Alex.
How are you?
I'm so good.
I'm
so good. How are you?
So good, too. I'm so grateful that we have another episode. So excited.
I know. So excited. We've got my friend Andrea here today, and I am so blessed and grateful that she could make time to talk to us. She's been such a force in my life, and I'm excited to share her with our listeners. So I met Andrea recently, a couple months ago, and saw a post on a Northwest Arkansas Moms in the Know something at a crossroads period of my life. And something inside of me was like, call this lady. And I had no idea what it was that she did or how it worked. I just knew I was supposed to meet her, like that intuition feeling. And when I met her, I was like, I don't even know what you do or how this works. And she said, I'm a channeler of energy. I help calibrate energy. I have background in yoga, in meditation, in Reiki, in sound healing. And I was like, I don't know what half of those things are. I've heard of yoga, but the rest, I don't have any idea, but I'm still here for it. And after I met her, after I had a session with Andrea, I walked away feeling lighter. I felt more grounded, more centered, and Soul Fire started to take off at that point. And so we've reconnected since then. And she's using her gifts in such a positive way. I really wanted to share her and what she does with our listeners. One thing really quickly, before we started this session, Andrea mentioned that she really likes to start her sessions with her clients in a specific way. And I thought it would be really good before we jump into the line of questioning to allow her to share that with us. And so, Andrea, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. And then I would love for you to get us started on the right foot and grounded and centered and all the things as we jump into this podcast discussion this morning.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for having me. I am very happy to be here, and I would love to just take a couple of minutes to kind of close our eyes and really ground and settle in our bodies so that we can come at this from a more centered place. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's settle into our seat here, and wherever you're listening from, you can just go ahead and close your eyes and just settle into your body. Notice if you can relax your shoulders down. And if there's any tension in your jaw, just bringing a little space between the teeth, allowing the jaw to soften and the eyelids soften. And just taking in any sounds you may hear around you. As you come into more and more of this present moment. And from here, just get into the breath, just 3 gentle breaths in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So go ahead and exhale all your air out. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathing in, breathing out. One more deep breath in, deep breath out. And as you come back to the natural rhythm of your breath, maybe just placing one hand on your heart, just one hand on your chest, connecting with your heartbeat for just a moment. And for just a moment more, maybe coming into a sense of gratitude for anything, really. Maybe it's the heartbeat beneath your hand, or wherever you're at, just having, this beautiful day to create from. And gently releasing your hand back to your lap, blinking your eyes open, coming back grounded and hopefully a little more calm. And that's how I like to start a lot of my sessions, because I find that from that more grounded place, the conversation is usually a little more guided in truth, a little more guided in what we really need to get at. So
that's amazing. Just myself, I didn't feel like I was stressed or hurried this morning, but now I feel a difference in just everything. My intentionality, my body, all of it. What about you, Alex? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I practice breath work a lot. I have high functioning anxiety, which I've talked about before. And so breath work and meditation is one really great way to help regulate my nervous system. And then I always feel more calm and present. So thank you for walking us through that before we started today. That was really helpful.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. The breath, and it doesn't take long. That was 2 minutes? It really doesn't take long. The breath is like a miracle. It's when we can just stop the busyness of our lives for even 2 minutes to breathe deeply. It's a wonder what it can do for your nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you explained that, because I was like, what is breath work? What does that even mean? And so you just translated for me, someone that, wasn't sure. And I think that's something that I know I can put into practice more regularly, because it's not that hard. And to your point, it's pretty easy, and doesn't take long. So that's incredible. Do you have any other tips for people that are hurried or taking for granted all of the goodness and the things that we have to be grateful for?
So many tips. The other cool thing about breath work is it's free. You don't need to pay anyone to do it. You don't need to go to a special center. You can literally you can sit in a chair, you can lie on your bed or the ground. You can do it anywhere at any time. It's not something you need privacy for. It's just bringing intention and focus to the breath. And it is amazing to me how it shifts and regulates the nervous system. And like I said, it takes 2 minutes. So really focusing on taking those long, slow breaths in and out is so incredibly helpful. The other component that I brought in that short meditation was, connecting to the heart and to gratitude. Somebody pointed out to me years ago, you cannot be in a state of gratitude and be grumpy at the same time. They cannot coexist. So if you are focusing on, even if it's small, even it's nothing else in my life is going well today, but I have eyes that see, and I have ears that hear, and I have a body that's carrying me through this life. I'm connecting to my heartbeat that is still beating for me 100,000 times a day, every day for me, 42 years now. What a miracle that is. Being in that energy of gratitude, I can't simultaneously be focused on my problems. So I have a lot of clients that keep gratitude journals and will start every morning focusing on okay, what is going well in my life? Because the more I focus on what is going well, the more abundance energetically I'm inviting into my life. So when we focus on the abundance we're already experiencing, we're just attracting more of that abundance versus, oh, let me focus on my problems today. All of a sudden, all of our thoughts are overrun with lack and limitation. And it's just, you are bringing in more of what you are. So by shifting that to gratitude, and we forget all the time, including myself. And I teach this stuff for a living, and I will still catch myself, going through my life, and I've got 3 kids. I'm a wife, a cat and a dog, and a business from home. Like, there's a lot going on. So I will find myself running through the motions of life and then having to stop myself. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me come back to all these tools. Let me focus on 3 things that I am grateful for. And let me take 3 deep breaths, and it turns things around right away. A lot of people, the other tool that comes to mind is meditation. However, that word is so scary to most people. Most of the time that I have new clients come in and we talk about, I'll say, well, do you have a meditation practice? It's like, no way do I. And what I think is a common misconception is that you have to sit in the lotus position like a monk and blank out your mind. Yeah. And that for most people sounds impossible. And what I like to explain to clients is maybe this different perspective on meditation, which is, it's anything that brings you into the present moment where you are not incessantly thinking about the future or the past. So that could mean breath work, taking deep, slow breaths, and you're focused on the breath coming in and the breath going out. That could be walking outside and looking at the trees and the birds and hearing the dog barking and the lawnmower. Like, you are in that moment. You are present. It could be my husband is the same age as me. Okay. He might be 1 year younger. Okay.
Yeah.
But he is just recently learning to play the piano. And it is something that he has wanted to do for years and years. And the way this came about was because my youngest daughter wanted to learn, and I had a piano teacher coming to the house, and I asked her, do you teach adults? And she said, oh yeah. So my husband started taking lessons, and for him, it is the one thing that brings him out of his thinking, and he is just focused on the piano. That is a form of meditation. So it doesn't have to look like any one thing. It's just what gets me out of my thinking head and just like right here in this moment. So that's another tool that I really like to bring to clients' attention. There's a dozen others, but yeah.
Everything you mentioned, I need to put into practice, and it makes total sense. And this week I've been traveling for Soulfire and for work, and it's been a lot of running and a lot of just back to back to back to back, just on. And I was traveling with another Soulfire employee to the East Coast. And before we got up super early, East Coast time is different than Central time. So my body was all like already. And we were getting ready to get in the car, and she said, stop. She said, take off your shoes. And I was like, we're getting into the car. She said, take off your shoes and come over here to the grass with me.
Yes.
And let's just take a deep breath and stand in the grass. And I was like, my first thought was, this is kind of woo woo or like crazy or whatever. And she's like, sometimes it helps to just be in the moment.
Yeah.
And taking a deep breath before we went on. And now I'm like associating the connection, and I'm like, oh, she was practicing meditation and she was getting me to calm down and center.
You were grounding.
Grounding.
You were grounding. Yes.
What does that mean? What is grounding?
Yeah, so it's scientifically proven that putting your bare feet on the grass is deeply regulating to your nervous system. It has all kinds of health benefits. You can just go Google grounding, bare feet, grass. Like you'll see all kinds of research come up. It's not woo woo at all. In fact, I actually, in between all of my sessions, I have a home studio, and when a client leaves, if weather permitting, I will just walk out into my front yard and put my bare feet on the grass, because it's letting me sort of energetically release what just happened and prepare my body for the next session. And it's you're putting your feet on the ground. It's really grounding your body and centering you, and pairing that with a deep breath. Beautiful. You are doing it.
Magic.
Yeah.
That's magic.
Yeah. And again, it's free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay anybody to teach you how to do it. You just take your shoes off and go outside.
It's amazing. It really does help. You're like connecting literally with earth for that moment. And it's just, it feels like you're connecting with nature. And, we're looking at screens all day long, a lot of us, and that's not natural, right? That's all man-made things. And so just being outside, I've heard a wellness coach tell me like morning sun is really good for you, without sunglasses and as much bare skin as possible. And that can help regulate your nervous system. So that's like a kind of a form of grounding too.
I just hosted a women's group on 2 days ago, and a couple of the women were doing just that, going into their backyard with that early rising sun, putting bare feet in the grass and looking straight at the rising sun. It is not dangerous to your eyes. That first, as the sun is rising, I'm not saying go out at high noon and look up at the sun, but as the sun is just rising, making eye contact. And like you said, letting that sun on your skin, putting your feet in the ground, taking some deep breaths. I mean, I just don't know if there's a better way you could start your day than that. And it is available to all of us. You don't need any special training for this. So
that's incredible. How did you find all of this? And how do you put it into practice? You mentioned that you have a home business and sharing these tips with us, and we can put those into practice. What else, are you doing in your business?
So there's a couple things that come to mind as you ask that question. How did all of these kind of things come together? Like, how did I pick up all these tools? Well, one is I started as a high school teacher. I did not start in all of this like work that I'm doing now. I started as a high school teacher, and I still think of myself as a teacher at heart, because I'm still using those skills from my teaching to bring into my personal business today. But, when I started listening to my intuition, that is when things got really interesting. Because I think before that, I was very, very driven by all the things that we're taught, kind of programmed of what we should be doing, what success looks like, what where we go to school, what our job is, where we live, all of these things. And it would have been easy to stick with my high school teaching career. I got a master's degree in secondary education, and during COVID, I left my teaching job and I started teaching yoga. And one thing led to another, and that took me to teaching meditation and doing sound healing and practicing energy healing. And it was sort of like once I started listening to that intuition, it guided me. It completely guided me. And it was like, my soul was sort of just leaving breadcrumbs for me to follow. And the more I trusted that, the more my life started unfolding in all of these amazing ways and became deeply fulfilling and full of purpose, more so than my analytical mind could have ever created for myself. It's like if I could have been a fly on the wall and seen what I'm doing now 2 to 5 years ago, I never would have believed it. I just couldn't have.
Yeah.
Yes, I could not have planned this. And so all of these tools came to me out of following my natural curiosity and following my natural passion for learning about these things. It's almost like this is what I was born to do. Of course, like when I don't shut that down, when I don't think, oh, my ego and my analytical mind have to plan and prepare my life in all these certain ways, when I dismissed the need to do that and I started following intuition and curiosity, all of these things started falling in my lap. It's like the universe put all the people, places, and resources into my path when I started trusting and following that intuition and that soul guidance. So
I don't want to cut you off. I just have a quick question if you can expand on it. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my husband, our listeners have heard this several times, is a frequent listener of our podcast. And he is very analytical, very white and black. And
yes.
He typically, if I don't ask the question in moments like this, gets frustrated with me because he's like, why didn't you ask the follow-up? And that is, I can hear him in my brain saying, how do you do that? Like, how do you know what your intuition is saying? And how do you follow it? Like, what does that mean? And as someone who's experienced it, I don't know how to verbalize it or put it into words. So do you have words for that? Do you know how to tell someone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So a couple of things come to mind. One is that soul guidance. So I don't know how your listeners might relate with the word soul or identify with the word soul. But when I say the word soul, I mean that eternal part of you that has been with you from the first breath of your life to the last breath of your life. And if you believe you have a soul, this soul has like a 30,000 foot view of your life. Okay. So it is not mired in the details of your daily living. Like, should I go to this restaurant or should I go to this restaurant? It's not involved in all of that. It's this 30,000 foot view of first breath to last breath. Okay. And soul guidance comes through emotion. So most people nowadays stuff their feelings, stuff their emotions, which is a real shame because your emotions and your feelings are the guidance of your soul. So when you feel like deep fear or resistance to something, that's your soul guiding you. When you feel joy and excitement and passion about something, guess what? That is also your soul and your intuition guiding you. Soul and intuition could be interchangeable here. So when you feel curiosity and passion and excitement, when something's a hell yes for you,
Yes.
that is intuition. That is soul guidance. When you feel overjoyed about something, that is soul guidance, if that makes sense. I don't know if that fully answered your question.
Total sense. And, you know, in several other episodes, we've talked about listen to your body. When something feels right, lean into it. And Alex and I even talked about how Soulfire was created. And I didn't have the right words when we first came up with the name Soulfire, but this defines it in a way that I couldn't conceptualize before. I knew what it was. I just couldn't put words to it. And
that was your intuition, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is perfectly aligned with what we want Soulfire to be, because we want to help people find what sets their soul on fire, what makes them, you know, the feeling that you talked about when you left teaching and went in, or you were still teaching, but teaching yoga instead of high school kids. And the way that made you feel, and how you just continued to follow it to the place that you are now, is exactly what we want for our listeners.
Yeah.
And it may not be what we were taught in school is the right thing or the best thing. But for us, you know, our soul defines that. Where is it that we're supposed to be, and what is it that we're supposed to be doing, and how are we supposed to be doing it, and who are we supposed to be doing it with? And I think when you're in alignment with that, that's when we're reaching our potential, which is something that we talk about often. And what the goal of Soulfire is to help people be at that state of self-actualization, of potential, of our best self. And that's the way to get there, is exactly the way you described. And so if you give us nothing else, which you've given us a lot, help me to put words to things that I knew the feelings for, but I didn't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah. And the other part of that, of following the voice. So I like to introduce a concept to clients, which is being able to discern when we're hearing ego versus soul guidance. And so I like to refer to this as the voice of soul and the voice of ego. And these come through the form of thoughts in our own heads, and they sound very different. And being able to discern, are these thoughts the voice of my soul, or are these thoughts the voice of my ego? And by the way,
what's ego?
So ego is your personality, right? Ego can be a great tool to us, but it can also be like kind of enslaving sometimes, okay? Because the ego can be very mired in fear. Okay. The soul is rooted in love, and the ego can sometimes be rooted in fear. Okay. So these two voices can sound very different. Usually the guidance of the ego sounds like, you should do this. You better do that. Why didn't you do this? Don't forget to do that. It can be very harsh, and it can sound very judgmental. Okay. The voice of soul sounds gentle, sounds tender, sounds like curiosity. Oh, you could look into that. It might be fun to do this. We could try that. Like, it's very curious. It's very excited. It can be very passionate. So it's just good to identify and be able to discern. We have all these thoughts in our head. Like, most of us have just an incessant amount of thoughts per day. And it's good to be able to know when you're feeling that intuitive call to something, that feels very different than this kind of harsh, judgmental voice of the ego, if that makes sense. So that's another way of being able to identify intuition coming in. Does it sound harsh and judgmental? Then that's probably not intuition. That's probably not soul guidance if it's harsh and judgmental, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If I could just like give an example of something in my life and see if it's aligning with what you're saying. And I've talked about this a lot on the podcast as Mariah has been on my journey with me. But I've been in higher ed my whole life, or adult life, working in higher education. And so when I made a choice to leave higher education and do Soulfire, what I assume is the voice of ego here was telling me, well, this is what you have your degrees in. Why would you change that?
Yes.
This is a promised solid income. Why would you leave that? This is what you know. Why would you go do something else? Is that voice of ego? Does that feel like it?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's fear-based.
Yes.
It's fear-based.
So then voice of my soul voice is the peace I'm feeling of saying goodbye to that and starting this, and your skills that you've learned are transferable. And instead of like, what could go wrong, I'm asking, but what could go right, Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. Awesome.
Yeah. That would be your intuition and your voice. That would be soul guidance coming through. Yeah. How does this podcast make me feel in my body? Peaceful? Okay. That's good. It makes me feel excited. It makes me feel curious. It makes me feel passionate. Yeah, it makes me feel like I might impact others in a really positive, helpful way. Yes. Soul. That's amazing.
I love that.
Beautiful example.
Thank you. I would like to ask if you just want to talk a little bit about your business and what it is, and kind of a quick overview for the listeners of what you offer.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, when I left my high school teaching career, I, like you, had that voice of ego come in and say, oh, you have this master's degree in teaching and what a waste. Like that'll be like money down the garbage, all of these thoughts. And what I now see is, like you said, these skills are highly transferable. So that background is not wasted. I am still using those skills and applying them to what I'm doing today, because I'm teaching clients how to live more and more in that peaceful state of being, rather than this continually fear-based, anxiety-based lifestyle. And so a lot of what I'm doing is using my early yoga background. So like I said, I started as a yoga teacher, but then it came to, training in meditation, training in sound healing. I've got all these crystal sound bowls all over the place. And I host sound baths and breath work, training in breath work, which I bring in. Then I went through a super interesting training called transformational soul coaching, which is a little bit like life coaching, but different in that I was trained to teach clients how to tap into their intuition and their higher wisdom, and all of these different tools to tap into that. So I started working with clients on that. And of course, I'm a master Reiki practitioner, which, if you don't know about that, it's just working on a person's energy field. Everything in this universe is made of energy. Everything from your body to the chair you are sitting on, everything is made of energy. And so what happened early in my business is I would have clients come for one of these modalities, like the coaching or like the energy work or the breath work. And somewhere along the way, very organically, it kind of blended into one modality of its own. Nobody taught this to me. I didn't go to a school and receive a training. It was like I just kept following that intuition. And it sort of melded into its own thing. So what happens now is I have a client come see me and we sit down and we talk through what's going on in their lives, very much like that coaching element. What we do is we set some intentions for how they want to see their life unfold. Because when we are not clear, we are just reactive in life. We're very robotically sleepwalking through our lives without intention. And that is unfortunately how most people are living. They're just going about their day, same thing every day, waking up, doing the same thing, going to bed, and not really tapping into what is it that I want? What am I trying to create with my life? What is my highest potential? What are the blocks getting in my way or keeping me stuck or small from this unlimited potential that I came here to experience? So we spend a little time at the beginning of the session kind of working through some of that. And then when we have some really strong and clear intentions, that is when I put them on the massage table, because Reiki is typically done on a massage table. You are fully clothed. You don't get naked. You're completely comfortable. You rest your head on a pillow. You're under a blanket. And I am trained to work with your energy field. And that sounds, if this is new to you, that sounds like, oh, woo woo. But, I have had so many clients now that have come not understanding what it is that I do. But yeah, exactly. Mariah included. But it'll either be this strong intuition that leads them to me, or it'll be the neighbor Susie down the street that told Joanne, you have to do this. You have to try this. Just trust me. And they just show up with a trusting and open heart and will experience it for themselves. And after that, it's like, okay, I don't need to know all the details of how this works, because I physically, tangibly felt a shift in my body and I feel clearer. I feel like something heavy has left me. And so, what I do is I do have clients that will come and see me on an occasional basis, but the bulk of my clients come on a regular basis, because whether that be once a week or once a month, because the biggest transformation happens when you really invest this time on yourself to get 100% clear on what it is you are trying to create with your life. And then not only get clear and set some strong intentions, but actually move things energetically in your body to kind of allow for this shift and this transformation to happen. And then the final thing is that I like to get people in relationship with their soul, meaning what does it look like to walk around on a daily basis and receive that soul guidance? Because a lot of us have kind of turned that off, because what we've done is prioritized our ego analytical minds to run the show. Which may have worked at a certain point in your life. Okay. But when you are like, okay, I am actually ready to live the life my soul came here for, we have to allow that ego to we're not trying to get rid of the ego. The ego is here to to serve us.
Yeah.
Right. But the ego has to kind of get in the back seat for a little bit so that the soul can drive the car that is your life. So I would say that's the other component to this work that I'm doing, is to get people in touch with that part of themselves.
That's
so
so
if I had
amazing.
to sum it up, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. We are getting close to the end of time. So
how do they reach her? I just want to know, like, how do people reach you, just real quick? Because I'm sure you're going to your questions, Miss Alex. And I just wanted to make sure, unless I got ahead of us.
No, that's what I was going to ask. How can they find you? Yeah.
So I have very much let this grow organically, word of mouth. And so people can reach me by email. I do have social media. I rarely post to them, but they are there if you want to message me. Once in a blue moon when I do post, people like Mariah find me. So, it has been very organic growth and word of mouth growth, but I have been feeling the nudge and the call of, like, it's time to put yourself out there in a more public way. So I'm sure a website will be coming, but so far it's been, like I said, neighbor Susie telling the gal down the street, go see her. So I will, if you would post my email, people can reach me that way, or they can reach me on my socials. So
okay, great. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes for the listeners. So if you are in Northwest Arkansas and this is like calling to you, Andrea's your girl. Okay, as we wrap up, there are 2 questions we always ask our guests. And the first question is, what sets your soul on fire? And I know you've sort of answered that, but if you could sort of wrap it up in a summary, tell us what sets your soul on fire.
I love this question. So what I would say is that if I could sum up what I see in these sessions that is consistent across the board, is that people have forgotten who they truly are. Meaning that we've gone through life and all these roles we play of, whatever the roles that you play, employee, father, mother, daughter, wife, all these different roles that we play, and all of these obligations and shoulds and should nots. And we've kind of forgotten this creative spark that we were born with and that we had as children. And we've lost touch of that creativity that wants to naturally flow through us. And so what sets my soul on fire is helping people remember who they are at their core and the essence that is them. Yeah. Because probably if you think of when you were a young girl or boy and you got so excited about creating something or imagining something into existence, that part of you is still in here. It is not gone. And it's just kind of getting all the layers of mud and muck we've piled on us over the years to get back to who we truly are and remember that part of ourselves. That's what sets my soul on fire. When I see that transformation take place, it's so fulfilling to me.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it sort of answers the second question, which is, if you could give somebody advice on how to figure out what sets their soul on fire, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say, like, really listen to, as you move about your life, listen to that. Like we've been talking about this whole time, this intuition, this just nudge. Like, I want to do this thing. Like, I feel called towards this thing. I feel passionate. I feel curious. I want to learn more. That is soul guidance right there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yes. Thank you so much. So like, seriously, so much gratitude for you joining us today. Mariah, can you tell us where our listeners can find us?
Absolutely. We do have a website. It is the Soulfire at thesoulfire.com.
Yes. And we are on socials.
And we're like, I just had like one of those, I'm so connected to what Andrea was saying. I'm like trying to think. But yes, thesoulfire.com. Also, we're on socials. We're LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. And all of our connect with us information is on the website, on those socials. And so if you want to get in touch with us or interested in learning more about our podcast or the services we provide, you can find us there.
Absolutely. So, we will have all of that information in the show notes. We will also have Andrea's information in the show notes as well. I would like to just end on one big collective breath. If you would just lead us with a quick inhale and exhale, that would be so great. I would be grateful.
Yeah, so we'll just do this in through the nose, out through the mouth. So go ahead and exhale all your air out. And we'll take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. And we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.